Hey, it's Ducky, and in today's video we are going to be doing some more TikTok hacks, challenges, those kind of things. So let's get into it. First things first, I need my glasses on, otherwise I'm not going to be able to see a thing. And there's a little cat in the corner. So as usual, I will screen record my phone and I will put it here for you to watch. Okay, so this paper doll trend is a little bit old. This video is from literally a year ago. I've seen quite a few creators do it. I don't know if this was the first creator to do it, but I really wanted to have a go at making my own. So I have created a sketch to try and hopefully do this. So I guess let's get into it. So of course I made the hanging doll of myself because that was just the easiest for me to do. I definitely want to do one of my partner so they can hang next to each other on a shelf or something, but I really didn't have the time to do that in this video. I did this sketch originally on my tablet so I could overlay them and make sure I would like the positioning when it was hanging. But really I couldn't fully tell if I liked it until I had done all the art. Maybe I should have made a physical mock-up first before I went and did all the art physically, but that would have been smart and include planning ahead. And we don't tend to do all that much planning around here. I also made sure the holes for hanging the drawing were all the same size and in the exact same area. I realised I would need to connect the paper pole, I don't know what to call it, to the back of the headpiece, and I was planning on cutting a cross in the end of the paper, then folding it down and sticking it to the back of the head. I thought having a piece of paper that sandwiched the cut pieces against the head would hold it more securely, so that's what that little square with the hole is for. For my outfit, I went with an outfit that feels quintessentially me. I have my platform boots, mismatched legs with one knee-high sock, and then fishnets. I went for a check/tartan skirt. I don't even know what makes a check pattern tartan, and I probably really should, because I mean I know my Scottish clan and the tartan that goes with it on my mum's side of the family. No, this isn't that because I'm not a fan aesthetically of the 3 tartans associated with that clan. Anyway, continuing on with my actual outfit here, we also went for a checkered belt and corset belt combo, and then a little black top with just Ducky in metal font, and a little heart necklace. So I just hold a rose in my hands. I don't have a reason other than it felt aesthetic. When it came to colouring this in, I really debated on whether to do my iconic black and red hair that I've had for years now, or to go to my current, very new blue hair. I decided to go with the blue as that's what I currently look like. But I of course still had to include my favourite colour red into this piece. I went for a red skirt, red rose and a red necklace and balanced the colours out with a pop of blue on my belt. Everything else was of course in different shades of black and grey. Of course I forgot to press record whilst making the paper pole thingy and attaching it to the head, but basically I just rolled a length of paper into a pole shape and then just trialed and errored until I got it the right width for the pre-cut holes, and then used masking tape to hold its shape. It ended up a little more oval than circle, but it's fine, it still worked. Then I worked out how much distance I wanted between each piece to give me the right effect. And luckily for me, it ended up being pretty much exactly half the width of my masking tape. So I cut my masking tape in half lengthways and wrapped it around the pipe thingy, First, right behind the head, then I added the arms and gave a little gap so it could swing freely, and added a second wrapping of the half-width masking tape. And then I added the rest of the body and again wrapped it with half-width tape behind it to hold it all on the pipe. I just had to make sure that masking tape wrappings were big enough that it was larger than the hole in the body pieces. Also, I forgot to say earlier, but you want the pole holding the body to be about halfway down the face, not on the area where the shirt is being pulled up. And we are back to where I am in the video. So after doing all that with the paper pole, I realised it was sagging and I added a second paper pole and attached it further up the head and fashioned a piece of paper to connect the two ends of the poles. So if you try this, please just use thicker paper that holds its shape better. I don't know why I thought cheap printer paper was a good idea for this.
Okay, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I love it. I absolutely love it. I will film some clips of it in an actual area, and I might need to put some tape on the back to make it a bit more less bendy, but it's great. It's great. I'll insert some footage if I manage to put it up on a shelf somewhere. Okay, let's go on to the next TikTok art trend, hack, challenge thing. This is what I actually based my makeup off, if you can have any guesses from that.
Here's how to do the Charlie and Lola trend without using AI, because AI is not fun. You're going to want to first start by opening Canva. You're going to want to upload a bunch of your favorite pictures of you and your favorite fit. Next, you're going to want to pull up a reference. So I just typed in Charlie and Lola and just started scrolling through and finding a bunch of pictures that I could reference. And this is the most important part. Go grab a piece of paper and some markers, because today we are doodling and it is okay if it doesn't turn out how we want it to, and it's okay if we make mistakes, because bad art is better than AI. Plus, creating and spending a few hours just doodling is so good for the heart and soul, and this is how you become a better artist. And I could actually see as I did more characters, they were just getting better and better, and I was seeing improvement in just a few hours, which was such a cool feeling. And I felt really proud of these doodles of my fun little fit. It was also cool learning a different art style. With Charlie and Lola, they do not have necks, and their hair are just kind of these like crazy strings, and their eyes are uneven, and their mouth is so close to the chin. So I was just learning that style along the way too. And they just came out so cute. Like, look at these. I'm obsessed with them. Please do not use AI and definitely try it yourself. You got this.
Okay, so absolutely, we don't use AI in this house, and I used to love Charlie and Lola when I was a kid, and I just really wanted to have a go at this trend. I have chosen a couple different photos, and I will show you of my outfits, and I've done some sketches, so let's get into it.
So when I went looking for outfit photos, I realised I hadn't taken any full body photos in a couple years. So this is going to have photos from lots of different years. I know it will be obvious in these photos that my weight has fluctuated a lot. Before anyone says anything, none of these photos show me in a healthy body. It doesn't matter how big or small, because I have had a deeply difficult relationship with my body for as long as I can remember. Now obviously I'm not including any photos of me at a stupidly low weight, because that's unnecessary and I don't want to glamorise that, especially with the current social narratives around fitness. I've been on a weight loss journey for the last couple of years, which I'm hesitant to talk about online because I don't want to push the skinny is best narrative. However, I'm looking to get surgery to increase my quality of life, and I need to be under a certain weight to be accepted for it. In all of these photos, I am partaking in some form of disordered eating and bad habits. If I were to put photos of me when I wasn't struggling in any form, there wouldn't be any. Also, these photos range from late teen to an adult, and it's natural for bodies to change as you enter adulthood. That's all I want to say on the matter, so let's get into the fun part. Guess who forgot to press record? Again! I was meant to record doing the line art, and I just didn't, so that's great. Hope you weren't looking forward to that. I used a thicker pen than usual for this line art, and I think it really suits the art style really well. I was also meant to do the colouring of each one separately so I could easily show the photo as referencing to the side, and instead I ended up colouring them all at once. I went in with the same stupidly pale skin tone colour for all of them, because I have always just looked like a vampire, except from that one time my mum went into debt to take me to Spain when I was 4, but that's beside the point. But the hair colour definitely shows the time frames for these photos. One is brown hair. Back when I had purple hair, got a job interview and dyed my hair dark brown the night before and got the job and wasn't allowed fun colours when I was like 16, 17. Then I got let go of during 2020 and decided to finally try black hair after being told to never dye my hair that colour because I was too pale for it to look good. I think everyone who ever told me that was secretly trying to thwart me because black hair looked so hot on me. Then I eventually started experimenting with hair colour again, and in one of these I have my iconic red and black hair. The outfits are shockingly mostly black, with some red and yellow accents here and there. Given this is a child's show and a more childish art style, I made the executive decision to not do any outfits that I felt were provocative. I'm sure people have differing opinions to me as to whether I succeeded at that. I did find it was a little difficult to convert gothic fashion to a Charlie and Lola style, but I think I managed it with some small modifications to my outfits. The hardest was definitely the one with the hood up, and it's definitely my weakest one out of all of them. I especially love how I did a little skull face in a really cartoony style rather than copying the actual Slipknot t-shirt I was wearing. I think that's a really cute little touch. I haven't really spoken about Charlie and Lola, but I absolutely loved it as a child. I still think it's a really cute art style, and while I haven't watched it in many years, it just feels so nostalgic, and I feel like modern children's TV shows are just so overstimulating, whereas the things we watched when we were younger were mostly a lot calmer and slower paced, and I think that makes a big difference in how children regulate themselves and their attention spans.
Okay, that's them all done. They're so cute. Definitely how I would imagine a little goth character in. I said My Little Pony in Charlie and Lola. Okay, and we're on to our final TikTok hack challenge thingy. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is a really cute idea and a really fun, like, interactive element. So I definitely want to give this a go. So let's get into it.
First things first, I realised I should definitely check which of my black markers would 1. Not smudge once dried, 2. Actually just worked, I'm surprised none of them were dead, and 3. That I could scratch it away once dried for the tiny details. I lined them up, did a test swatch, and then left it to dry and came back to it. 2 of them smudged, so that was an instant no. 2 were just too thin and wouldn't really work. I also noticed that most of the pens weren't true black, but 2 of them looked straight up navy blue, so they were knocked out immediately. When I tested if I could scratch them, I could not, which is probably good for a permanent marker in normal permanent marker situations. I was left with 2 pens, one that was a true black but too thin to fill in big areas, and a bigger one perfect for filling in big areas but not completely a true black. I decided these were a good mix to get the detail I wanted in my piece. I created a very rough sketch on a white piece of paper based on my more detailed digital sketch and put that inside my Polly Pocket so I could get the right spacing. Also, I've always called these Polly Pockets. What do you call them? Working in administration for the majority of my adulthood, I have heard people request Polly Pockets by so many different names that I've often had to ask them to explain what they're asking for because it just didn't twig that they were asking for Polly Pockets. To me, they are Polly Pockets. I used to order the stationery for nearly every admin job I worked in, and that's normally what they're called. So it's what I've always known. Also, my mom was always in admin and secretarial work when I was younger, so I also always heard her call them that. I think it's probably also a regional thing. I know in the UK, I think most stationary bands call them Polly Pockets. However, there were a couple that didn't. And I also think even just the area in the UK, people call them different things. So I always find that very interesting. I was really nervous putting the first lines down. I decided to go with the moon outline first because that felt very simple. I then moved on to the vampiric mansion in the distance, and I was starting to worry that it was going to look very bad. But the minute I started adding the dark background in, I calmed down. It was looking good. I wasn't expecting this piece to be anything special, but I'm so glad that I had this thinner pen to do this with because it helped me get so many little details that I love. I think fir trees work really, really well with this style and were also pretty simple to do. It's just a little bit of a flick of the wrist, really, just down the two sides. The person in this is actually a character I created in a past video. This is Seraphine, and she came from the opposites prompt in the How Much Art Can You Make book. She is part of a pair, but it's just her in this piece, mainly because I wanted to do big flowing hair and she has great hair for that. I'm so happy with how she came out, the details were amazing. I also had to include her signature weapon, which I actually was able to add more detail into this than my original drawing. The blade of this sword is iridescent and angelic looking. The hilt has 4 angel wings coming from a middle gem that glows when she is using her vampiric powers. I still don't know exactly what those powers are yet. Adding in the graveyard was the perfect final touch, and once all the details were in, it was looking amazing. But it's not got the torch effect right now. You can see all the details. So I had to make a paper torch. I took my draft piece of paper out and made it into a torch, very simply with a beam of white paper. Then made the handle black with a couple white details. Once I tested it, I realised I'd made it a bit too short, so I took some black paper and just added a little extender to it. Onto the final reveal, I put some black paper into the Polly Pocket, taped up half the edge, and cut the bottom edge open for easier access, and then magic.
Okay, so that was all 3 of the TikTok art challenges done. Which was your favourite? Oh, it's a difficult one for me. I think, I think it might have to be the Charlie and Nola ones just because of the nostalgia. But the other 2 were also really cool. This was a really fun video. I'm really glad that I got to try these ideas. And I definitely think you guys should give them a go. And if you do, tag me or send them to me so I can see them because I'm really liking these ideas. Thank you for watching and I will hope to see you in the next one. Bye!